Hello ladies and gentlemen and everyone beyond, I am BabyNoobCakes and this is PlayStation Plus free game reviews. And in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at one of the February 2020 free games, the Bioshock collection. And since this is actually a collection of 3 games, I'm going to be doing 3 separate reviews, just like last month. This one, being the first, we will be covering the original, titled simply Bioshock. Since all 3 are pretty story heavy, I will only be giving details on the beginnings of the plot so as not to spoil them, but you may see some footage from later portions of the game. Throughout each review, I will try my best to relay to you how each changed since the previous entry, and since this is 3 games in one, I will withhold my overall judgment until the 3rd review. So, would you kindly join me in looking at Bioshock in an attempt to answer the question, as one of the free games of the month, was it worth it? Mechanics. Bioshock, at its core, is a first-person shooter. It also has some very light RPG/progression elements, maybe better labeled as customization options, with some upgrading. It starts out as a horror game, giving you very little in the department of defending yourself, but eventually transitions more into an action game as you increase your arsenal. You have most of the standard weapons you'd see in almost any first-person shooter. A pistol, a shotgun, a machine gun, and a grenade launcher. Then, some that aren't quite so popular. A chemical thrower, a crossbow, and even a camera that's actually used more for research than attacking. Each of these weapons have 3 different types of ammo that really change up the way you use them. Electric rounds, armor piercing, and anti-personnel, among others, all which have their own purpose and help you fight off the terrors of the City of Rapture more efficiently, depending on the weakness of each enemy you fight. Speaking of enemies, the main bad guys you will encounter are called splicers. Splicer referring to the fact that they have all been deformed and deranged by gene splicing experiments. Another enemy you encounter is the city itself, or at least its robotic defenses. Security cameras that call in flying gun drones, gun turrets placed throughout, protecting the treasures of the city, but far and away the most iconic enemies of the series are the Big Daddies. A terrifying, moaning, faceless thing inside an old-school style diving suit with a drill for an arm. Their only purpose is to keep their wards, the Little Sisters, safe. They actually won't even attack you unless you pose a threat to the Little Sisters. They will only stomp around, shaking the surrounding area and moaning with wordless pain at their own existence. Even though the weapons in the game are your bread and butter, one of the strongest elements of your arsenal are the genetic mutations you inject into yourself, called plasmids. The powers that you obtain seem to come more from magic or from a supernatural source, rather than being purely based on science. You are able to shoot various powers out of your fingertips, like lightning, fire, wind, bees, and mind control. Some of the more passive abilities include better healing from items, better damage to specific enemies, better damage resistance, and an easier time hacking the various machines that populate Rapture. Art style. Bioshock has always been very unique due to its Art Deco styling. The game is set in a fictional version of the 1960s, but is highly advanced with a lot of steampunk technology. Your introduction to the City of Rapture was, and will always be, one of the most iconic moments in video game history, but once you get inside the city itself, you know immediately that the city is not as nice and shiny as its exterior. Violent and horrific imagery are around every corner, and when juxtaposed with the flashy, colorful style of the 1960s, creates a real unease in the player. Sound. The soundtrack and sound effects in Bioshock are both faithful to the campy B-movies and idealized version of science fiction created in the 60s and immerses you fully in the setting. The robots shout happy chirps as they attempt to destroy you, the tape recordings you find, and the faux commercials that play for the plasmids.
Throw objects at foes. You can even catch grenades and throw them back.
All have a grainy quality of inferior recording technology, and you'll never forget the goofy vending machines that you buy from.
Welcome to the circus of value.
And the voice cast as well. They are amazing in this game. All delivering powerful performances. Whether it's one of the former residents giving a chilling first-hand account of the fall of Rapture, one of the still sane survivors crying for help, or one of the deranged splicers lurking in the dark, looking for their next fix of Adam. No matter what they're talking about, they pull you deeper into the immersive world, deeper into the city of Rapture. Replayability. A full playthrough of Bioshock will last you about 12 to 16 hours, and there are a number of secrets to find along the way. And there is plenty that you might miss if you only run from objective to objective. There is also an incredibly light morality system in the game. One of the mechanics that I didn't mention before is that when you dispatch one of the big daddies while they have a little sister with them, you are able to gather the upgrade currency of the game, Adam, from the little girl. However, you have two choices about how to do it. You are given an ability very early in the game that allows you to either pull a large amount of Adam from them, but resulting in their death, or you can cure them, which nets you less Adam, but doing so results in much greater rewards later. Whichever choice you make can affect the ending of the game and earn you one of the two trophies. Narrative. You've already heard bits and pieces of the story of the game, because it's almost impossible to talk about the other aspects of the game without mentioning some of the details of the story. But to start from the beginning cutscene, the character you play is on a plane when your luck runs out and the plane crashes into the ocean. However, you find yourself at a strange lighthouse that exists out here in the middle of the ocean. Going inside, you hitch a ride to the bottom of the sea, and you get your first view of the utopian city of Rapture. Upon arrival, you quickly learn that this place is no longer the haven for the best of humanity that it was meant to be. It is falling apart both physically, emotionally, and genetically. You start your journey through the city guided over the radio by a man named Atlas. You are quickly put in danger, and at this point, pretty much left to defend yourself, as you are quickly exposed to the dangers of Rapture. Throughout your time here, you'll meet the remaining citizens, most of them deranged, murderous lunatics, who, in a nutshell, are the worst our society has to offer. But if they were given carte blanche to practice their own insanity down here, in the lawless, Ayn Rand-fueled objectivist society, created by Andrew Ryan. My opinion. I'll admit that I have played this game before. This is probably about the third time I've done a full playthrough of it, and for good reason. I love this game. It was one of the first games I'd ever heard of that really challenged the first-person shooter genre by adding a compelling, mysterious story and upgrades and power-ups that weren't just, more bullets. I'm sure there were plenty that preceded it, especially the System Shock series, but this was my introduction. But one thing I've now realized through attempting to explain the game in this review is that it's actually a bit overcomplicated. While you play through it, though, it's not actually that difficult to understand. It is pretty much still just go shoot the bad guys, pick up all the shiny things, and you'll make it through the story. And I think that's one of the strengths of the game. Whether or not you choose to partake in the story or really immerse yourself in the world, it doesn't matter. It's a good story. It's a good game. It has good mechanics. It plays well. It doesn't matter which you choose to ignore or embrace. You're going to have a wonderful time playing this game. At least I did. Was it worth it? I'll be short in this section, since I've already told you that I'm withholding judgment until I've reviewed all 3 games in the series. I think everybody knows this game has already become a classic in the gaming community, and if you haven't already played it, you should. The sequels, though, might be a different story, and to see if the collection as a whole is worth it, you'll just have to wait to see the rest of my reviews. Also, don't forget to go out onto the PlayStation Store and download your free games every month, because hey, they're free, and sometimes you will end up with a few gems. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.